Yes, it is another one, another episode. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. I actually wanted to do a forehead reveal today because all too often people do content for long periods of time and it's a jump scare, especially for big forehead people like myself, when either it's a candid photo someone else taken or they decide to finally show their forehead. So I just want to get that out the way, but not today. Anyways, there are a lot of people walking around in adult bodies with unfinished operating systems. They are adult age, but when it comes to maturity, discipline, hygiene, planning, financial maneuvering, patience, integrity, emotional control, self reflection, manners, accountability, some of them are still running on childhood Wi Fi. They can vote, drive, have children, clock in at a job, post 10 videos a day with full confidence, but internally, they are still reacting, blaming, projecting, spending, arguing, and surviving like nobody ever handed them the instruction manual for adulthood. And disclaimer, don't take it the wrong way. This is not about pretending everyone started life at the same line. Honestly, if you've seen previous videos, you already know that. But I know sometimes people may stumble upon a video for whatever reason. So here we are. Some people had two-parent homes. Some people had one parent doing the work of five people. Some were raised by grandparents, raised by the streets, raised by survival. Some technically had a house but never had a home. So no, this is not about judging where someone started. This is about asking, at what point do we stop using the beginning as an excuse to never develop an ending? Because the beginning explains you, but it does not have to own you. Also, I'm doing this on my stomach after eating some air fried chicken wings, so excuse me if I sound a little bit winded. The beginning is not, wait, let me move that over right quick because me and my horse is in the way. There we go. A lot of people never leave their beginning. They leave the address, but not the mindset. Look at the eye of the tiger. Anyways, they leave the neighborhood, but not the behavior. They leave the childhood home, but not the emotional state. They get older, but they do not get wiser. They mimic what they were raised around. If everyone around them yelled, they yell. If everyone around them blame, they blame. If everyone around them lived to check with designer bags and no emergency fund, they do the same thing and call it normal. And sometimes they know something is off. They may see the error, but if the people around them mirror the same error, I don't know why that word with braces is crazy. There is no pressure to change. Dysfunction becomes a group project. Everyone is failing the assignment, so no one feels behind. Before social media, people had fewer people to compare themselves to. You had your neighborhood, your school, your job, church, family, and maybe whoever was on television. Now people are comparing their real lives to edited lives, rented cars, borrowed jewelry, stage relationships, filter faces, and people who are just as lost but better at lighting. So now the person who already lacked direction is not just lost; they are lost with the ring light. I guess there's gonna be another mixed up slide production. Let me see if I could catch back up. Beginning is not the ending. Look at that ocean. Okay, we caught up. That's correct on the screen. Parenting, childhood, and the emotional operating system. A lot of adult behavior can be traced back to early development. Children learn from what they are told, but they absorb what they see. If a child grows up watching adults scream instead of communicate, they may confuse volume with power. If they grow up watching people lie, dodge, manipulate, they may confuse survival tactics with intelligence. If they grow up around adults who never apologize, they may think accountability is humiliation. And I can tell you, everyone in my family who grew up around that, they definitely inherited it. Very few people fought back like myself and decided to be the anti of what was the common behavior. If they grow up around chaos, peace may feel boring. If they grow up around neglect, attention may become addictive. And also, you see these things in dating where you will have a person telling you things that they've been through, and you will know that you're not going to put them through that. But then you find it's difficult to deal with them because you're not being the chaos they used to. What happens with the subconscious is the other party then creates the chaos that they're used to. That's why unconscious living on all levels is a waste of your life. And many people regret things because the present them has awareness of what the past them didn't do. But what they keep doing is being aware in the future instead of being aware in the now. Like while they're presently now regretting past things, they're presently now doing things that future them will regret even more. And then as life goes on, eventually you're going to start feeling like you ran out of time to do things. Some people feel that way already, and they might still have time, depending on what is in question of what they feel like they missed out on. Research on adverse childhood experiences, often called ACEs, shows that childhood trauma and instability can have long term effects on health, opportunity, and well being. CDC material explains that ACEs are linked with later mental health problems, substance misuse, chronic health issues, and difficulty with life outcomes. More than 60% of US adults report at least one ACE, and nearly one in six report four or more. That matters, but explanation is not the same as surrender, because once a person becomes an adult, there has to come a point where they ask, am I living my life, or am I just repeating the emotional habits of people who never healed? That is where maturity begins, not when you become perfect. Maturity begins when you say, I inherited this, but I do not have to pass it forward. Unfortunately, from my point of view, of the people I've seen in real life, because remember, I don't speak on things I don't know. Any experience I'm referring to is either personal or closely personal. But everyone I see that has immaturity, they mimicking their parents. And as children, most people look up to their parents. Some people may even have abusive parents, but still look up to them. And what happens when you look up to people, you mirror them. It may not be completely the same way that they do things, but it manifest in your world with the same title. So if it's passive aggression, your passive aggression may not be the same way your mother or father has passive aggression, but it will you will have passive aggressive traits that other people notice, and it confuses you because you thinking that that's above you or beneath you or whatever. That's why environment matters. And it's harder for people to grow in environments that are dead. Many people are in dead environments. When I see people on the internet, they hanging with all kind of other people who are not going to go anywhere in life. And they thinking because that's their friend since babies, or their cousin or their baby mama brother, and they won't be a part of the family. Like it don't work that way. You can't like you can't really live in two worlds at once. And you can't build in two worlds at once unless you have the resources and the intention. But if you live in an unintentional life, that's it. The invisible prison guard. People think fear only looks like a stranger in the dark, a scary movie, or danger you can point to. But fear is cunning. Fear knows how to change costumes. Sometimes fear sounds like doubt. Sometimes fear sounds like be realistic. People like us don't do that. Who do you think you are? Sometimes fear sounds like the voice of relatives who never tried, but have a full TED talk on why you should not try either. And New Orleans forbid, if your dream is connected to something no one around you succeeded at, the projections will come like mosquitoes after the rain, all them tree roaches after the rain. They feel so they swear the path is impossible. They got embarrassed, so they tell you visibility is dangerous. They never left, so they tell you leaving means you change. They never heal, so they call your boundaries arrogance. Fear freezes people in a moment and then convinces them that stillness is wisdom. But sometimes what you call being careful is just with fear wearing church shoes. At some point, you have to ask yourself, am I making a wise decision, or am I protecting my comfort zone? Because comfort zones can become emotional prisons with cute decorations. And also, too, one of the really scariest things that a person can experience, and if you haven't experienced it, it might not sound scary to you, or maybe you experienced it and it ain't that important to you because your point of view just doesn't make it the priority. One of the scariest things you can do is let your lack of learning, your lack of growing, and your lack of whatever make you pass up something that you really wanted, or put you in a position that you was too young for. Like for me, I was, how old was I? My age was 20 and I was making $19 an hour at Verizon Wireless. I was not ready for that at all. I mean, I appreciated it, but it literally did nothing but give me lessons. because that was just, I went from rags to riches basically. I went my last job before Verizon, I was making $9, and then they switched us to the ABC plan where we were getting paid per call. And then once people started sending phone calls to the law, aka dropping calls, all of that went to hell. So I wasn't ready for that. And I really didn't see the connection of all of that I was missing. I was missing financial literacy. I was missing discipline. I was missing so many different things that could have made that an opportunity. But what I did was, since I'm a lesson person my whole life, I took that to the future, and I made sure from then on out, every time I was receiving my paychecks and working jobs and whatever blessings was coming, I always stayed in the present, but I also looked towards the future and made sure that I wasn't making any decisions that I was going to later regret. And that's why now I literally don't regret nothing in life. And I always used to cringe when people would say that, but baby, look, you is if you had a rewind button, then you could regret, because then you should just rewind, be kind and rewind. But like, it's a stage that keeps rolling. The children of the corn effect. There's a certain kind of person who does not get out much mentally. They may travel, they may have a phone, they may have opinions on every celebrity scandal from here to Dubai. But mentally, they live inside a barely legal environment where most rules are broken unless the police cannot ignore it. Some barely get a driver's license. Some barely get a diploma. Some cannot read well enough to navigate contracts, policies, legal letters, job documents, or financial terms. Some do not understand basic respect for public spaces. Some move through life like the world is supposed to bend around their lack of home training. And this is not limited to one race, class, city, gender, or region. I've seen rude people from all walks of life. I've also seen kindness and manners from all walks of life. Upbringing is a major factor, but personality is the wild card. Some people come from chaos and become deeply considerate because they know what chaos costs. Me, I, said the cat. Other people come from comfort and still become entitled, disruptive, and disrespectful because no one ever told them with no consequences, and they didn't have any attached. That is why we have to stop pretending background explains everything. Background matters, but so does character. Yeah, and a lot of the times people can stereotype people based off of behaviors, and usually when a person is ignorant, people assume poverty, no education, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a hit or miss with that. But also people who have these dreams of being in spaces they never been in before, those are beautiful dreams. But what you have to realize is that when you're unaware and you have all of these different blind spots, it's visible to everyone else, especially in the environments that require growth. People see that you don't belong there because you make yourself not belong there. You stick out. It's not that you need to blend in or fit in, because in certain situations, you may be an outcast regardless. It's jobs where if you come there and do your job and stay to yourself, you're going to have a hard time. Not talking about that. But when it comes to places where it's civilized environments, because sadly, people with poor emotional control are on the line of being barbarians. When you really look at the way people behave emotionally, look at the way that some a team losing a game results in people being harmed. Look at the fact that people will harm each other over famous people that they don't know and defend people they don't know, or like how on certain question websites, rather than asking genuine questions that's being asked, people main goal is to try to make the person who posted the question look stupid. Like it's a lot of strange behaviors, and the crazy thing about it is that it doesn't benefit the regular person. Like all of these regular people who having problems with unemployment, with finding jobs, with safety in their neighborhoods, you getting online and fighting with people only makes people hate each other more. So y'all basically is just fighting in the mud pit while the people that y'all claim to hate but give all y'all money to is just watching in every form. Not to mention so many sectors of like society, foundations, politics, religion is being used to get money from people, and people too busy to notice, because as long as they feel like they're a part of a group, drops Mike. Next section. Anyways, one of the clearest signs of social decline is how people behave when no one important is watching. People block entrances, walkways, driveways, stand in the middle of aisles like they're holding a press conference at Walmart. I had a person blocking my driveway. Well, it's one of them situations where people with the smallest driveway always have the most cars over, and then them knowing that they always have cars over, they never position their vehicle so they can all squeeze in because they actually could. So what ends up happening is, I guess people think, I don't know what they think. I'm not Jean Grey, but apparently people don't know that blocking driveways is illegal in all 50 states in America. No matter how people feel, even if it's your own car, blocking a driveway is illegal. And you have to be a certain amount of feet away from a driveway. But this person was half blocking the driveway to the point to where my car, I was going somewhere and I had to swing around them. But my intrusive thoughts was just saying, just ram it. But no. So yeah, it's a lot of people that don't know stuff. And when I asked the individual to move, I informed them that I understand this is your first time. This is my first time seeing you do this, but this house you're at has a history of doing this. And I don't care if this is your first time, but I'm just letting you know to let them know. Because obviously they know because I've asked them to ask the people. But baby, going forward, we gonna call the laws. Okay. I'm turning Gucci Man on you hoes. But anyways. People cut off people in traffic and they act shocked when someone honks. People are instantly defensive even when they're wrong. I had a young oh yeah, but I had already left, swerved around him, and had to do the same thing again. That is not just bad parking, that is bad awareness. And when you confront people like that, the issue becomes your tone, your timing, your facial expression, your wording, your audacity to mention reality. People hate when I confront them because I purposely talk lower when I'm confronting people just for the fact of growing up around gaslighting ass family members who hated to be caught in their lies and hated the fact that somebody had an elephant memory. So their contradictions will always make something ring like that smoke detector beep on those problematic content creator background videos. And so for me, I learned at an early age to not yell, even though doing that still resulted in them saying, "Why are you yelling at me? Or are you clicking out on me?" But I do it, and it works for most people. But people just don't like you telling them nothing in general because they don't have any awareness. And you tell them, "Hey, your unawareness has placed you in a place that you're not allowed." They're like, you know. But I mean, it's a perfect time in life. If I was younger, I wouldn't have handled it that way. I would have probably attacked the young man out of anger and frustration of letting it build up that 5 times this has happened. But due to me advocating for myself each time it happened, I don't really have that built up steam. And not to mention, it's unfortunate that a lot of these kids are like stray animals when you really think about it. They don't really know anything. Like it's almost as if they were not raised in a home because they don't know anything. But when you look at the parents, it's like, okay, I see it. I see it because people fake like they don't know what's wrong with their child. My mama did the same thing, baby. Anyways, I like having a script. It keeps me grounded because I'll be about to go off the deep end. Watch as I dive in. I'll never meet the ground, crash through the surface where they can't hurt us because we fall from the shallows now. Anyways, a mature person can say, "My bad. I did not realize. Let me move." An immature person has to turn every correction into a court case. The funniest thing was him telling me that he at his people house. Like, I laughed. When I laughed, that made him smile, but I wasn't laughing. I was not laughing at him. I was like, that's my sprinkler system. That's why, like, for me, I really don't joke with people, and I don't care to be in a joking situation with people because I'm not about to keep explaining why I laugh at certain shit. You figure it out, because it's funny to me. It's funny me imagining what I was doing that I'm not gonna do, but yeah. The most dangerous immature person is not always the loudest one. Sometimes the real danger is the group of enablers behind them. A difficult person by themselves can only do so much damage, but a difficult person with a fan club, with a family that excuses everything, with friends who confuse loyalty with lying, that becomes a whole ecosystem. Friends who enable usually do not last forever because once the bond breaks, the group separates. But Lake Charles forbid, it is an enabling family because families can build entire protection programs around dysfunction. Yeah, unfortunately, my family does that. They protect male abusers, and with women, they use them as gossip tools, but they laugh at each other when bad stuff happened to them. So yeah, welcome to America. They know the person lies, steals, start mess, is irresponsible, burns bridges, and then complains about the cold water they landed in. But instead of correction, they offer cover. And then when that person finally meets the real world, they cannot function. Ain't it fun living in the real world? They become the coworker no one wants to schedule, customer who terrorizes employees. Hey yo, why I was when I worked for a gym before, one of my family members asked me to look them up to see if they had a balance, and they didn't have a balance. And I didn't tell them what I saw either, but they had some notes on their ass being irritating, being paranoid, might be crazy. That shit was hilarious. It's funny how strangers could see stuff that I've seen for years. Parent who attacks the teacher for holding their child accountable. The relative who lies to your face disappears when you need help, then returns later demanding rescue like are FEMA with blood relation. That is why enabling is not love. Enabling is delayed destruction. These pictures do not match. I was being a troll when I was doing this PowerPoint because I actually ended up switching from I was doing what is this Apple stage name thingy? Let me see. Keynote. I was using Keynote, but Keynote must have got a little rust in the keyhole because it's been acting up. So I didn't went back to PowerPoint, and PowerPoint is back like it never left. People are entirely too invested in celebrity life. Public speculation used to wait for magazines, radio segments, or TV gossip shows. People would talk about it, then eventually return to local issues, family issues, work issues, community issues. Now, celebrity drama is a 24-hour emotional IV drip. People wake up checking strangers' relationships. They go to sleep arguing about entertainers who do not know that they exist. They memorize timelines of scandals better than they understand their own bank statement. They know who unfollowed who, but not when their credit card interest posts. And social media made it worse because influencers gave regular people celebrity behavior without celebrity infrastructure. Now you have people documenting their workplace drama, relationship drama, custody drama, family drama, financial drama, and criminal adjacent drama on public profiles for the world to see. Then, when consequences arrive, they act like life betrayed them. No, a screenshot betrayed you. A live stream betrayed you. Your own need for attention betrayed you. Pew Research found that Facebook and YouTube remains major places where Americans regularly get news, with 38% of US adults saying they regularly get news on Facebook and 35% saying the same about YouTube. TikTok and Instagram are also regular news sources for about one fifth of adults each. That means millions of people are forming opinions through platforms designed for engagement, not wisdom. The algorithm is not a pastor, it's not a therapist, it's not a parent. It feeds what you keep watching. So if you keep feeding on rage, mess, lust, envy, fear, and foolishness, do not be shocked when your mind starts smelling like the content you consume. Though I write so much that when I reread what I write, it's the internet is not just entertainment. It is a marketplace, surveillance field, hunting ground, definitely hunting ground, baby, because the amount of dark things that people know about but keep forgetting that is happening in the world, them one instances you hear about it is not the only time it's happening. It's more where it came from. Celebrity stuff we hear about people getting caught with all kind of underground stuff and being involved with stuff is worse. So when you're putting yourself on the internet, you're essentially food to those people, especially when you're unaware. If you if you posting women, you posting your children, baby, and not to mention for people who looking for jobs, it's more common now than not that every company you apply to pulls up your social media, especially for the people who use their name in anything, even if it's the email address. If you have your number where you could look you up with your number, the people see you. And for the people that be on TikTok going viral, baby, they ain't even got to find you. I don't even use TikTok, and I'll be seeing a lot of those videos way on YouTube. So good luck. It's a trap. Also a tool. The difference is whether you're using it or whether it is using you. A lot of people engage strangers online like everyone is harmless. They argue under public posts. They insult people they do not know. They reveal personal details casually. They show their kids homes, cars, schools, jobs, routines, and locations. Not to mention child predators and serial killers live regular lives before they get caught. So just keep that in mind. They tell people when they're out of town. They live stream from the same places. They post family drama with names, dates, and receipts. And then they act surprised when strangers become dangerous. And a lot of these people thinking about moving out the country, baby, good luck with that. You're going to be in more danger than you ever been in your life doing that because, first of all, these places that they selling people about moving to from the US. These people is telling you the first few weeks they out there. When you in tourist mode, you going to see the beauty in every city. That's just like people who visit New Orleans. If you stuck to the tourist areas, you some people still don't like that either. But if you stuck to those areas, the lowest you see in that area is not the lowest you see in real New Orleans. So if you were to let the French Quarter, like a lot of people was doing in the early 2000s, letting the French Quarter make you feel like you can move out here, when you figure out you're gonna be stuck in the tourist areas and then in Jefferson Parish areas, then yeah. So don't let these people fool y'all with these other countries because actually the US is better than a lot of places in the world. Yes, we have horrible things going on. Us being better than other places does not mean that the stuff that's happening is not happening. Yes, it's happening, but baby, it's way worse in other places. And not to mention, a lot of those people that you seeing and smiling in your faces in these other countries know you are a tourist and they want your money. Like that's it. Pew Research found that 41% of adults have personally experienced some form of online harassment, and severe harassment has become more common than it was years prior. So when I say stop engaging with strangers, I am not being dramatic. You don't know who is behind that profile picture. You do not know who is bored, obsessed, unstable, criminal, jealous, lonely, sadistic, or looking for a target. And actually, to blow your mind even worse, they have some people that's so thirsty for engagement, they have bots programmed to argue with the people in their comment section. So sometimes you're not even arguing with real people. Like you just basically driving up this person's engagement numbers, which pushes their content further in the algorithm because the algorithm is only looking at what moves. That's why it's very hard for new content to blow up unless you already have a following, you use certain hashtags, or you use some type of method to attract attention. A lot of content creators make the mistake of swatting at every detractor, but they forget the art of war. You are on Front Street. People can find information from the smallest details, a reflection in the window, a school logo, a mailbox, a street sign, a work badge, a gym check in, a restaurant you visit every Friday, a child's uniform, a house layout, a casual mention of your city. Serial killers still exist. Sadist, which the definition of a sadist is a person who derives pleasure, except especially sexual gratification, from inflicting pain or humiliation on others. Trafficking still exists. Stalker still exists. And men can be stalked too. I've been stalked before, even though it wasn't in person. And for me, I actually wanted to meet up in person to lay the hands of Jeremiah on them. But like they still stalked me before that, and that's why I had got so frustrated because I'm. Anyways, scammers still exist. Organized criminal groups still operate. The FBI's 2024 Internet Crime Report recorded 859,532 complaints and 16.6 billion in reported losses, a 33% increase in losses from 2023. The top complaint categories include phishing, which is PHISHING, which is when they send emails or other messages, like sometimes text messages, purporting to be from reputable companies in order to induce individuals. And they have a lot of emails like that. I see emails like that every day from applying for something and they sold my information. And it looks convincing, but for me, I've always known that how spam look. Like I've been into technology all my life, but everyone else don't have that luxury. That's why it's best to just delete what if you ain't if your bill company is sending you emails talking about your password unlocked. If them people ain't called you, baby, delete that email. Don't ever click links in emails unless you know the person directly. And even then, if it ever asks for information or anything crazy, that is not just online. That is real life with a loading screen. Look at the data center. One of the scariest things is how casually adults hand over children to the internet. They let children game with strangers. They let them use apps because the apps look colorful. They let them message people they have never met. They assume kid label means safe. They give children devices because it keeps them quiet. But quiet is not the same as safe. Baby, before I read the rest of this, when I don't how old was I when I had a computer? Because that's when I had AOL. So I had to be 11 years old. No, that was 2001, 2002, 2000. So I was 13, no, 11. I was 11. I started off 11 with an in-home computer with internet, and it was dial-up. Anyways, when I used to use AOL, I cannot tell you how many adults used to approach me on there because they knew I was a child. I ignored all of them, but one of them was very persistent, and it was a grown man sending, you know what? And it's crazy because I didn't even mention it to my mother because the way she was, I didn't want to get in trouble. I would have gotten in trouble, even though I didn't. I literally used to be on there playing games, and I would find my friends from school on there, and we would talk to each other on there. But yeah, so I can only imagine how bad it is now. The U.S. Surgeon's General Advisory, and also if I was a green child, I probably wouldn't be alive now because they would have got me. But advisory reported that up to 95% of youth ages 13 to 17 use a social media platform, and more than one third say they use social media almost constantly. The advisory also warns that adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media face double the risk of poor mental health outcomes, including symptoms of depression and anxiety. And predators know where attention lives. NCMEC, another acronym, which means National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, reported 26,718 financial sextortion, which is the practice of extorting money or sexual favors from someone by threatening to reveal evidence of their sexual activity. Reports in 2023 up from 10,731 in 2022. It explains that online enticement can happen across gaming platforms, social media, and messaging apps. The FBI has also warned about sextortion targeting minors, including cases where offenders coerce children and teens into sending explicit images online. And it's millions of videos out there about these real life situations. This is why digital parenting is real parenting. You cannot hand a child a phone and call it supervision. And adults are not immune either. People have been hacked through cameras, especially people who have those home cameras and you got the default username and password, baby. People look at your stuff regularly. They have whole Reddit groups about it. People have been blackmailed through intimate footage. People have had personal content exposed. People have been scammed through romance, crypto, fake jobs, fake investment, fake emergencies, fake customer service, and fake authority. And the wildest part is that many people never hear these stories because their algorithm only shows them the same emotional junk food they eat every day. The internet used to feel like a carnival of information. Now it often behaves like a mirror. It repeats what you feed it. So when people say my algorithm is toxic, sometimes the real question is, what have you been training it to bring you? And it's so spooky being young enough and old enough to have seen the internet change. Because at one point, computers were seen as a nerdy thing. People didn't want computers like that. And then once social media came along, that's when regular people started caring about computers. Because at one point, when you would ask people if they had a computer or a printer at home, they would look at you like if you asked them if they collected all of the Harry Potter novels or something. We need to talk about money without everyone hijacking the conversation because every time financial discipline comes up, some people twist the message. You say stop buying luxury items you can't afford, and they respond like you attacked a minimum wage mother who hours just got cut. No, that is not who we're talking about. We are talking about people living like Rick Ross and Baby from Cash Money with no assets, all liabilities, and a long history of repossessions. We're talking about people who finance image but cannot finance stability. The $900 phone, the $1,200 hair appointment, the luxury car note, the rented outfit, the vacation on a credit card, the furniture financed at criminal interest, the Amazon purchases made in the heat of the scroll, the buy now, pay later addiction, the I deserve it lifestyle with no emergency fund. The Federal Reserve reported that in 2024, 63% of adults said they would cover a $400 emergency with cash or its equivalent, meaning a large minority still could not do that without borrowing, selling something, or using credit. This is where immaturity becomes economics because poverty is real, but so is financial self sabotage. The U.S. Census Bureau reported that the official poverty rate in 2024 was 10.6%, representing 3.5 million people in poverty. Those people deserve serious policy conversations regarding laws and things that can help them, serious compassion and serious solutions. But everyone is not struggling for the same reason. Some are underpaid, exploited, disabled, caretakers, recently laid off, unable to find a job after doing hundreds of applications, trapped by housing costs. Some are one medical bill away from disaster. And then some people are simply financially reckless and allergic to accountability. We cannot tie every struggle together like it is the same rope because it is not. Some people are drowning because society failed them. Some people are drowning because they keep buying anchors. Real poverty versus self inflicted struggle. There's a difference between being poor and being undisciplined. There's a difference between being disadvantaged and irresponsible. A difference between lacking opportunity and ignoring opportunity. A difference between being traumatized and making trauma your entire personality. And there's a difference between needing help and seeing people as servants. Some people drain every well they drink from. They see friends as rides, therapists, emergency funds, food delivery, emotional punching bags, crisis managers, and backup plans. But they contribute nothing back. No encouragement, no accountability, no peace, no respect, no consistency, no reciprocity. Just need. Oh, man. Shots fired. Then when people set boundaries, they call it abandonment. No, sometimes people are not abandoning you, they're surviving you. And the hard truth is some people need to hear. Baby, I don't care if people hear the truth. When it comes to them kind of people in your life, you all that explaining stuff goes out the window. You're gonna get to a certain point in your life where you realize explanations is nothing but wasted oxygen and dioxide. Like explanations is not gonna change the way the person view you when you give not giving them what they feel like you owe them or they're entitled to. Simple as that. People make you think explanations work because that's buying time that you still in their presence and they can still convince you. That's all it is. That's why when people break up with a toxic person, they always want to meet up for the last time. Like it's the oldest trick in the book. But if you too busy chasing your tail and chasing dreams that are not that are dreams, you don't like you can't chase dreams except if you sleep. So if you chasing dreams, that means you sleep. Anyways, America has serious problems. Healthcare costs are high. Housing is expensive. Wages do not stretch like they used to. Education can be costly. Inequality is real. Racism and classism are real. Disability barriers are real. Corruption systems fail people every day. But it's also true that many people in this country have access to opportunities that millions around the world do not. The World Bank estimated that almost 700 million people, about 8.5% of the global population, live in extreme poverty on less than $2.15 a day. That does not mean Americans should shut up and accept injustice. Not at all. It means we should respect opportunity when we have it. Libraries exist, community colleges, trade schools, online courses, public benefit programs like 211. I'll be singing in most videos. I try to get them in every descriptions. I might miss a few descriptions, but baby, they in damn near 90% of the videos. So you get my drift. Small business tool exists. Free financial education exists. Vocational rehabilitation exists. Scholarships, public records, consumer protection agencies, job training programs exist. Are they perfect? No, but they're there. And a mature person learns how to use tools instead of only complaining about the toolbox. Adult literacy and numeracy are still serious issues in America. NCES reported that in 2023, oh shit, only 44% of US adults ages 16 to 65 performed at level 3 or above in literacy, third grade or above in literacy, 38% in numeracy, and 32% in adaptive problem solving. So if that's 32%, that means 68% of people don't know how to solve problems. Yikes. That means skill building is not optional. Reading is not corny. Budgeting is not corny. Learning contracts is not corny. Understanding credit is not corny. Taking a trade, learning how systems work. Being uninformed is expensive. I don't know how many wealthy people y'all got to see go broke in front of your eyes and watch them do the same things that most people are currently doing now, just at a higher frequency. And staying uninformed because your circle mocks growth is spiritual sabotage. But I think it's really too the trick that people think money is the only thing that they need in life. They only work towards money. They only work towards being rich. People forget to always keep a healthy mental state, a healthy emotional state, to become more wise and more wisdom and have more wisdom in the areas they navigate in life. It's a shame to be doing something for 10, 20 years and you still move like you entry level. Like, but some people have undiagnosed mental disabilities as well. I've witnessed so many people in elementary school who probably would have been not dead or in jail if they would have been in special ed versus being in regular population classes and ended up being expelled, or going to a school for people with behavioral issues, or maybe getting therapy, because a lot of the kids I was going to school with was in broken homes. My home was broken too, but my level of abuse wasn't the level that theirs was. I mean, so it's a lot of moving parts, and that's the thing about a society that's not educated. It's hard to get them to see all of the moving parts at once. They can only focus on one thing, and then if it's something new, they panic. Oh my god! Oh my god! Like, it's always panic, never just realization and peace, knowing, okay, this is the one thing that won't fool me in the streets. No, that's not what they do. They panic and then they go in the streets and still get fooled by it. Like, the leaving the naysayers behind. This video is for the people who feel off, not the people who fell off. The people who look around and think something about this environment is not right. The people who know they were born into one story but do not want to die in the same chapter. The people who are tired of the excuses, of the chaos, groupthink, emotional immaturity, family systems that protect dysfunction and abusers, friends who only call when they need something, people who confuse struggle with personality, people who mock growth because it exposes their stagnation. Your life will not 180 snap like Thanos. You will not wake up tomorrow with a perfect credit score, perfect health. First of all, perfect credit score is so you can spend more money and be in more debt. So yes, it's good to have a credit score because it's good to get the necessities that you have. But the often mistake that people make is that they're building a credit score with no financial literacy. So some people may even pay somebody to dispute things off of their credit score, which they could have did for free. And inadvertently their credit score increases, but then this person begins to get those loan offers, and you can get a new vehicle. Like, I get an offer for a new vehicle every month, every other month. And for me, baby, my 2019 paid off. It's fine. It get me the same places any other car would get me. So I see no point. Not to mention, I've always been someone who is good with maintaining the condition and stuff, contrary to a hater with big mama arms and bad credit belief. My car still looks new to some people, even though I don't care about that. It's just always surprising to me that something that's 7 years old, people like, oh, when you got that, and I'm like, what? But anyways, because number one, mind your business. But back to the sentence. You will not wake up tomorrow with a perfect credit score, perfect health, perfect discipline, perfect emotional regulation, and a perfect circle. Looking for perfection from outside of yourself is insanity, in my opinion, to be honest. Perfect is something that you can refer to within yourself to find peace and gratitude. But looking for perfection in other people, like, have fun. Some people look for stuff. They got people who walk around with metal detectors looking for treasure. So. And I'm saying that as someone who had everything that belonged to me destroyed 3 times. Katrina was round one. Year 2014 was round two, and then year 2023 was round three. By round three, I did not even see it the same anymore because I had withdrawn from my unhealthy relationship with material things. I learned that losing stuff is not the same as losing myself. I learned that some people idolize money and material things because they do not know how to measure character. And honestly, some people get so deep into the idolization of money and material things that they will sacrifice their children. It may not be the Hollywood Illuminati manner, but they got people straight up selling their kids. They have people that neglect their children. For men, if the man paying bills, they have people putting their children out. They have people that turn a blind eye to the man touching their children if he paying bills, and same vice versa for women. So, that idolization of money and material is very dangerous. People go against their friends behind it, stealing from people they care about. Somebody in my family stole their mama identity and wrote bad checks. So yeah, the chase for money can be very, but when they were stealing their mama money, it wouldn't we steal family and family first. It's only family first when they trying to keep you from leaving the plantation. When it comes to toxic families, I don't know about healthy families being a plantation, because what is a healthy family? I know they exist, but I'm talking about my experience. Because again, these are my experiences. I learned that some people see wealth as a class symbol and think more money will fix problems that money did not create. But money does not heal insecurity. It does not create manners. It does not install discipline. It does not make someone emotionally safe. Money only amplifies what is already there. Look at all of the streamers. If a person is reckless broke, they will be reckless with money. If a person is cruel broke, they will be cruel with money. If a person is empty broke, may still be empty rich. That is why growth has to be internal first. And that's why a lot of those rich people get into all of those sick side habits, because they so bored with not having to struggle or do anything, and that, the financial side of life is just set for them. So they just get to doing weird stuff with other people. Not to mention they see regular people as different. So all of that wanting to be in proximity with these people who really want to chop you up and cook you for dinner, it's like, have fun. Traits that make life easier. If you want life to get easier, not perfect, but easier, there are traits you have to build. My favorite, self-awareness. You need the ability to ask, what part of this problem did I create, ignore, enable, or repeat? Number two, emotional regulation. You cannot explode every time reality disagrees with you. Number three, patience. Something I have too much of. I think I might have took a lot of people patience. My apologies to the impatient people. I believe the order got mixed up when mine was being installed, because I have the patience of like 50 people. And me being me, I still don't understand why either, because I really would love to just be belligerent like the people who do. Oh, they said something wrong to me, and just get the mink, 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 and the people in the store look at me wrong, knock everything over, all that. I wish. It just don't. I don't be feeling the need to do it. Financial discipline. You need to know the difference between looking rich and becoming stable. Number five, hygiene and presentation. How you care for yourself communicates how much structure you have. Number six, digital restraint. Not every thought needs a post. Not every argument needs a reply. Not every stranger deserves access. First of all, digital restraint is never going to occur while you're still actively using social media, because the brain works in a habit loop. If it is a habit of yours to post when something happens, that is already happening in the background before you even start posting. Your brain is already processing your next actions well before you do it. That is why people who are reactive always get caught off guard, because their brain wasn't ready for whatever they're reacting to. That is why people who are emotionally unregulated and don't have self-awareness can explode from things and then later have to come and apologize. Boom. Reading and comprehension. That's a long road for that one. But if you cannot understand documents, policies, contracts, instructions, and warnings, life becomes more expensive. And if you ever get access to money, baby, you will be robbed. Rest in peace, Elvis. I mean, people mad about him stealing black songs and stuff. Apparently, in his biography, most of them songs he didn't even want to perform. They blaming it on his Colin O'Parker, whoever that man was. But yeah, Colin Parker took all that man money and was signing all kind of contracts and all that, and had Elvis signing it off for feelings. And I could give many examples of that, but I kind of really will try to stick to dead and gone people from generations that don't have stands more, because I really don't want to dilute my community with discussions of miscreants with millions. Purpose. Without purpose, number nine, you become a self-driving car with no destination, making random pit stops until you block the intersection. Number 10, integrity. That's going to be a hard one for a lot of people that I see. in real life. Do the right thing even when your favorite person is wrong. That last one matters because immature people do not have morals. They have teams. If they dislike someone, they want every law, rule, and moral code applied. If they like someone, they want the person protected from consequences. That is not loyalty. That is corruption with matching t-shirts. Okay, let me shift to this moving, rolling, standing thing. But it's even worse with some celebrities because some people will even excuse them harming them directly because they don't want to go against it. Number 16, closing. Grow before the wave hits. We need more mature people, not perfect people, mature people. People who can be corrected without combusting. People who can apologize without needing a parade. I don't care about apologies. If we get to a point where you got to apologize to me, I probably already iced you out my life, to be honest, because I'm so easygoing that to get to a point to where you need to apologize to me, Jay New Orleans, you gonna have to be done a lot of stuff. Cause again, I let stuff slide, but I'm not cockeyed. I see everything. If I'm letting stuff slide, that's not meaning that I'm ignoring it. I'm letting you be your true self because when you keep policing people, they start to create a fake personality to be able to maintain who they are with you. When you let a person be free, word to free, Willie, a 90s movie. I don't even remember the movie, but I feel like I've seen all three of them or all two of them, but I don't remember it. I probably fell asleep. But baby, when you let people do what they gonna do, ooh, 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 I'm telling you, I don't even mean to rhyme right now, but I'm feeling it. I feel it in my chest. Maybe it's heartburn, but man, when you let people do what they gonna do and don't tell them nothing, they really, really, really show you who they are. I'm telling you, baby. Whew, I'm just thinking about just examples just flowing through my head right now. Like like, and then when they try to explain it, that be that killer. I love it. I be them built a whole RICO case on them, not even out of resentment, just observing, okay, this person flawed. Because for me, I don't believe in just wildly burning bridges like that. Maybe this person could mean something more to me. So what I usually do is approach it as a downgraded situation. Like, hey, you feel like we close friends? And they might say, yeah, and they tell me what they value about me. And I tell them, well, unfortunately, it's not equal playing field. That doesn't mean that you have to exit my life, but I don't want to communicate with you no more on the level. Like you're able to call me and text me and stay in my house when you come to town and all this shit like we best friends. No, all that's dead. If you see me in public, which is a 0% chance because we live in different states and I be everywhere but there, yeah, I'll speak to you, but I don't want to be a part of your life. I'm not telling you happy birthday and you forget mine. I'm not coming to these whack ass events with these people that you don't even really care for. Like all of that shit is dead. And once I really started letting people be who they really were, when it's time to let them go, it's not that hope of, oh, they might really change. No, it's really who these people are. That's the whole thing about integrity. When you let people when people feel like there's no consequences, they're going to go very far. But a person with integrity will still do right by people, even if there's no consequences. Like me, I've watched people drop money that I know, and I've given it to them. But some people I know they ain't done it to me, thank God, because I don't drop money. But they are the type that will see somebody drop money and not tell them something. And then also too, my view, I don't have this view of everyone in the world because I can't. That would contradict what I preach on here. But I have had views of how a lot of messed up people behave in a natural habitat because New Orleans is a city like Chicago, like Miami, like all these different cities with all these problems. When you get to see the average person from the stereotypical parts of town, baby, like some people built the lives that they living in right now, and they can't be saved. And if you're trying to give them resources, it's just wasted resources. People who can manage money without performing well. People who can raise children without handing them to the internet. People who can disagree without threatening violence. People who can work without making the workplace miserable. Who can love without controlling. Who can help without enabling. Who can leave environments that are committed to dysfunction. It's always confusing to me when I see small environment workplaces that may have probably 10 staff or less spread out through different shifts throughout the day, and it be heavy mess going on. And it's like, damn, all it takes is two of y'all to just uh, two managers to just not to just shut the shit down, but the managers be the one peddling the mess. Like some people really have like functioning psychopathic tendencies to where it's like they literally go places and purposely stir up stuff in the background and then try to play referee on the foreground. It's real strange, but man, because survival of the fittest is real and people underestimate how much modern society has been keeping them alive. Running water, police response, hospitals, food supply chains, public infrastructures, emergency services, social programs, digital banking, medication, air conditioning, grocery stores, roads, rules. If this country ever went full third world collapse, a lot of people who think they are tough will realize they are only loud in a protected environment. And their eat the rich talk sounds different when half the money people complain about is being handed to corporations through impulse spending. How much of that cart at Amazon cart was essential? How much was boredom, insecurity, dopamine? How much was trying to feel like somebody for 5 minutes? This is not about shame. This is about waking up because the wave is coming for everyone in some form: a job loss, a health scare, a family crisis, a financial emergency, a housing issue, betrayal, natural disaster, legal problems, public mistakes, a private collapse. And when the wave hits, you will either have skills, discipline, wisdom, and discernment, or you will have excuses. So grow now. Leave the naysayers, the stragglers, the bridge burners, the people whose lives are a never ending spin cycle on a whirlpool washer. Love people from a distance when you have to. Pray for them if that is your practice, but do not drown trying to prove you are loyal to people who are committed to sinking, because adulthood is not an age, it is a responsibility. The goal is not just surviving your beginning, it is to outgrow it. Not to mention, at any given time, if any of our water treatment plants went down, that would be a disaster for whatever area that happened in. So if you, for the people who are politically aligned, find a way to be more unified with people from other things so y'all can have common goals, because I don't think wanting clean water is a party thing. I think that is a human thing. So all of this fighting about dumb stuff and who did what in office, it's so much that changes on a weekly basis in the world. And I know, given the literacy rate of this country, I know y'all not reading them articles. And that's what I'm here for, y'all. Like once I get through this backlog of inspired writing titles and scripts I wrote, so I got to do subsequent videos for all of them, which is fine because it's all useful information. But once I get through that, then I could get to the real meat and potatoes. Hopefully, I don't get kidnapped and killed by the CIA or the FBI, but I don't think I'm gonna be going that deep. But I also think that they don't like people knowing stuff about certain stuff. Who knows? But I don't have that kind of power anyway. Y'all have a great day. Happy hurricane season.